Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to start a new writing vlog for the next couple of weeks. So what am I hoping to accomplish in this writing vlog? Well, first of all, I want to write my chapter 14 because that's where I stopped last time. So I want to be able to write at least 2 chapters, I think, because I'm getting back into the spots in my story where I can reuse a lot from my first or second draft, I want to say, because this is currently a third draft. So basically I had an original draft, which some people call zero drafting. I'm kind of the type of writer that just continuously writes without planning anything, but then I'll stop at certain areas where I'm like, okay, I feel like I need to go back and see whether my overall plan works. And then I go back and I kind of plan a little bit more, do a little bit more plotting, then continue writing, and then go back and do the same thing, and then continue writing and go back and do the same thing, etc. So that's kind of my process. That's the process that's worked for me in the past, at least, or at least in that book. I do also feel like every single book can be different. I don't think that there's just one process for everything that you write, and it's totally normal to experiment, especially when you start writing. That's my current process for this one. So for this one, that means that it was kind of my first draft, and then what I did afterwards was a line edit, I want to say. It wasn't very structural. I don't think I was able to at the time. I was just like, I just want to finish this. I felt really motivated. I wanted to reread it. So I did a line edit of the whole draft. So that was technically my second draft. And now currently, I guess I'm in my third version of it, my third draft, because I am doing a proper structural edit. I have changed the start of my story, where it begins, how my main character meets some of the other characters, things like that. So it's a lot more of a structural edit. I'm currently reusing a lot of the content of my second draft because I'm finally getting to the point where my new beginning and my old beginning meet back and, you know, get back to that spot where it makes sense to reuse. Writing a little bit actually last night, and so I made some progress. I completed my chapter 14, and also what I've been doing is actually I've put back in some information about my timeline. So basically the way that I was working on my book drafts previously, the first one and the second draft, is that I kind of set up this Excel sheet at some point because I didn't know any better and I thought Excel was the best for it. And what I had was technically information about each chapter. Each chapter was separated into scenes that were inside those chapters, which at the moment has kind of been broken down into smaller chapters, but at the time I had sometimes 5 to 6 scenes in one chapter, for instance, if I felt like that was the correct amount of words and if I felt like that was the correct place to stop my chapter at. So that's what I had, and then next to it I had kind of a date. I decided on which date I thought my character would be starting university because she does go to university for her first day. She's got like this party going on a Friday, so I needed it to be a Friday. So I kind of calculated all this thinking, this is the first night, and then based on that, the day after is this date, the day after is this date, just so I could make sense of which day of the week she was doing what. Not so much because I think that many people would notice if they're in my book, oh, wait a minute, she's having classes on a Sunday, that makes no sense. But just for me, for the realism and for kind of having a little bit of a proper timeline alignment, and also because I felt like if I didn't have that, it would feel a little bit like days were either super long or super short. So it just made more sense for me to have separation between scenes and to know, well, there's a day that's passed here, there's 2 days that have passed there. It just made more sense. I want to make sure that the hints I'm giving the readers, where I'm saying, for instance, 2 days later on Monday morning or something, make sense and are actually accurate. So this is why I've been doing this work. It seems a bit tedious, but I find it really useful for me to keep track of things. And Also, that way I don't become unrealistic in my expectations of my character should have done this by then. Wait, it's only been 2 weeks, not 2 months. This way I find it just easier for me to keep track of things and make sure that everything remains accurate. So now that I have finally finished my chapter 14, I can tackle chapter 15, where my character goes back to her room after it's finally been released by the police, because this is where her roommate died and was found. So I was trying to keep track of which day that should be, because I was worried that a lot of things were happening within the same day, but then I realized that if they weren't, then it would shift my timeline a little bit, it would get annoying later on, and I don't partially think that it matters all that much at this stage, or that anyone reading it would really notice and be like, oh, she's been doing a lot of things in one day, hasn't she? So I'm gonna keep it the same day as the rest of the events that have happened in previous chapters. So it's also helped me to determine a little bit what I'm going to grab from my old file for these chapters and what I'm going to need to rewrite myself. So I've made notes of what's to come for the next 4 chapters. So for instance, for chapter 15, I need to add a scene where my main character, Olive, is leaving her best friend's dorm room, and then afterwards I can reuse passage from my old file, which is where she meets her new roommate, Kaz. And then chapter 16, the one after, I can do pretty much the same thing where I'm gonna reuse the same old file that I had from my second draft for most of it, but then she meets up with a character, Sam, and I rewrote their first meeting at the beginning of my book. And based on that, I feel like their personalities are slightly different and they know a little bit of different things about each other than they did in my first and second draft. So I'm gonna rewrite that scene, for instance. So this is kind of what I'm doing. I don't know whether what I'm doing is the correct way to go around this, if this is what most people process look like when they're in their 3rd or 4th or whatever round of drafting, but this is what it looks like for me, and I hope that is gonna get me to the finish line soon enough, because I am getting to a point where I have a lot of my old draft that I can reuse now compared to before. It was mostly my 1st to 4th chapter that I had, to 5th chapter actually, that I had to rewrite a bit, and within the new structure that's build them up to chapter 12 to 13, I would say. Most of these were more new and were utilizing more new elements and more new writing, and a lot of the follow-up chapters after that point are actually just reusing my old file and bringing it up to date with the new information that I've got from rewriting. But I think now that I'm reaching a point where I'm reusing a lot of my old file, I feel a little bit more motivated to get back into it faster, just because it's less daunting, it's less worrying that I don't have to rewrite a bunch of things anymore, and that I might be able to finish wrapping up this book at some point. It felt a little bit like this deadline was so far away that I couldn't get to it, and I kept delaying it because of that and making it further away than it needed to be. But now that I've reached that point, I feel more sure of myself and I feel better about this project overall. Hello again, I'm back. Today is Monday the 27th of December, and let's be honest, I haven't written anything since I've been here really, except I finally started getting back into my chapter 15, so I do feel like I've started something, but not enough to finish the vlog here, and so I want to take today to write a little bit more, hopefully finish my chapter 15. I don't think it's going to be that hard because I've already written the bit that was new, and I think the rest is going to be the bit that I'm taking back from my old file. I thought I was maybe going to do bi-weekly vlogs, but it is turning out more and more to be monthly vlogs for the writing stuff, because I'm not taking as much time throughout the month as I thought I would be taking to actually write and do stuff that is worth talking about in these vlogs. So unfortunately, it is taking me longer to get those out, but it is still really useful for me to do because I am still pushing myself a lot more than I would be otherwise. So I'm pretty happy with this format anyway. So yeah, I think today I'm going to be reading a bit, I'm going to be looking at doing this writing stuff. I need to do my lateral flow test in order to go back home tomorrow to London, and also that's pretty much it actually. So as you can see, I am currently packing because I am going back to London today. It is the 28th of December. I've literally just filmed in this exact position with this exact same bag for my reading vlog, and this is for the writing vlog, but I just really couldn't be arsed to move again because it was complicated to find the right spot where my camera would fit and not have the worst angle possible. And so this is what you get in the background. I'm sorry for that. Yeah, so today I'm going back to London, but I just wanted to update you guys and let you know that I have actually finished writing my chapter 15 and that I've written a little bit of the beginning of chapter 16 reusing stuff from my previous draft. So that went pretty fast, and I'm just looking into rewriting some scenes now that need actual work for this new chapter, because it's a chapter where she meets again with the detective character that we meet at the very beginning, and I've changed a little bit their dynamic and the way that they talk to each other, so I want to make sure that I rewrite it in the proper way this time rather than reuse the old stuff, and for it not to be exactly the same as how they met this time, if that makes sense. So I think I'm going to stop there. I've also reached 15,000 words, which feels pretty good because I actually checked where I was at in my previous draft at the same stage in the story, and actually I only had 11,000 around that time, and this time I have 15,000, so I may need to cut some bits, but that makes me happy to know that there will be things to cut and not things to scramble to find more words for. I'd rather be like, okay, I need to cut down a little bit and see where there are useless scenes and stuff like that. And I can already think of one chapter that I'm thinking might be completely useless, and I might integrate some of that info into other chapters rather than have it as a chapter. So I'm feeling good about it. Which means I think this is a good point to stop this vlog. It's been a full month. It's been the whole month of December, and I think this way we'll start fresh for January, and maybe a little bit end of December, whatever, but it'll be part of the January vlog. So yeah, pretty happy with myself for this month. I haven't done that much, I haven't written that much, but I've moved forward, and yeah, that's pretty much all I'm expecting of myself at this point, so I'm glad of it. If you enjoy these kinds of writing vlogs, let me know. Please leave a like, leave a comment, I always try to respond, and consider subscribing, ring that bell, all that jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one.